If you've been waiting to buy a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, now's the time to pull the trigger. So Blackmagic just released a brand new camera. And what is that camera? It is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K G2. What does that mean? It's the Blackmagic 6K and a 6K Pro body with not a whole lot of added features except it has no ND filters on it. So why is now the time to buy a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K or even a 4K? No, I'm not going to tell you to run out and buy the brand new Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K G2. Absolutely not. But what I am going to say is somebody's going to go out there and purchase that brand new Blackmagic 6K camera G2, and they're going to sell their old 6K camera and their old 4K cameras. And when they sell, they lose and you win. So you'll be able to purchase this camera used for a fraction of the cost of what you purchased it new. Now I looked at it and I was like, do I really need the new 6K G2 version? No, I don't. So what else we're going to talk about in this video is options. Why I choose the Blackmagic Cinema cameras and the options that it has. Okay, purchasing a used one is perfectly fine. I would go out and purchase an OG, not a G2, but an OG Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K, just so I have two 6K cameras. I'm not totally against the 4K, but micro four thirds is what it is with a speed booster and all that. That's great. That's an option. But me, I'm not going to go out and purchase a brand new G2 just for a battery update. Yeah, just a battery update and an extra audio port. I would love to have an extra audio port. I could probably go out and purchase a Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro G2 or a 12K, maybe used, for a fraction of the cost, and then that would be a great addition to my Blackmagic 6K camera and my Blackmagic 4K camera. So I'm not going to go run out and buy the new Pro, and I'm not going to buy the new G2 6K. Now I do know it also has a new EVF. It's got an electronic viewfinder. I can purchase that stuff instead of selling this camera and losing money on it and then going out and purchasing a new one. I'm going to be in the hole like 500 bucks. You know, I'm probably going to sell this for 1,500 if I'm lucky, and then I'm going to buy a new one, and I'm just going to get a better battery and an EVF monitor, and I'm probably going to have to buy a new Tilta cage and buy new this, buy new that. I'm not going to do that. Okay? So, second part of this video, why is it good to purchase a Blackmagic Cinema camera in 2022? Many reasons. Options. Okay? On the 4K end, a good option is being able to add a speed booster that gives you a little bit less of a crop factor with lenses, and you can use better lenses, EF mount lenses, Nikkor lenses, Sony lenses, EF lenses, all kinds of lenses that you can use on this. That's a great added feature for the Blackmagic cameras. What's the second added feature? The second, battery. Everybody complains about the battery life, but there are many options out there for batteries. I will take, I've spoken about this before, these Zytate brick batteries. These are great batteries. They work on all my Blackmagic cameras, and they're just a great power option. Yeah, they're a little bit heavy. So if you're putting it on a gimbal, you're going to have to work a little bit harder to balance that gimbal. But if you're on a tripod, or you're on a dolly, or you're on a slider, these are fantastic battery options versus the LPE6 that comes on these two cameras. Not the new camera, not the G2, not the 6K Pro. They're using the MPF batteries still. Okay. If I want to use MPF batteries, I got the Tilta handle. I have both the focus puller and just the normal Tilta handle that all use the MPF batteries. So now I have twice the power. I got an LPE6 Canon battery in the body that I'm recharging, which is not a great thing, but I am recharging that battery through the MPF side handle with the Tilta battery holder. Okay. Another great battery option is the V-mount battery. I can run all day on this V-mount battery option. And then if I take it off, it's going to charge the LPE6 battery inside the camera. Then I can take the camera off and get those gimbal shots, or what handheld shots, or anything else that I need with the LPE6 battery recharging while I'm shooting on a tripod or a dolly or a slider with the V-mount battery. That's a great option. Second option, that's going to be the shooting preferences. Okay. Apple ProRes, Apple ProRes 422 HQ, Apple ProRes LT, Apple ProRes Proxy. This is a great resolution option for making smaller files on these cameras. You're going to lose resolution. You're going to crop a little bit on this guy with the 6K cropping down to a 4K on the sensor, which is not great. But if you need to save space, you need to save space. You can always use a wider angle lens to get the field of view that you want. So with the EF mount on this guy, that leaves you tons of options of lenses. I have the Zeiss lenses, and I'm using the Canon lenses. They're all been great for me. I enjoy mostly the Zeiss lenses. The Samyang lenses I have a selection of, but I'm usually going to pull out my Zeiss. Unless you have no money, then I'm going to shoot on the cheaper, the Canons, or the Samyangs. But many options with this camera and their lenses, and the Apple ProRes or the B-RAW. Like some say this is not true RAW, it's a little bit compressed RAW, but so what? It gives you the option of changing ISOs, and it gives you the option of changing white balance, and it also has a much higher dynamic range than the Apple ProRes. Then you have the quality of shooting. You have constant bit rate or constant quality. So if you want to make smaller files, you're able to choose those and make smaller files without sacrificing too much quality, unless you're going to do like some major color correcting. Then you're probably going to want to shoot a 3:1. But if you're not doing all that, you have an option of shooting 12:1, and that's going to save you some hard drive space and some time shooting stuff on both cameras. This guy's not going to crop between B-RAW and Apple ProRes. This guy will crop between 6K and 4K Apple ProRes. Okay, second option. Still continuing with resolutions and sizes and things like that. The big thing about these guys here is you can shoot 2 4:1. That's an amazing feature on these cameras that you're not going to get in a lot of other cameras, okay? 2:4:1 in 6K, 2:4:1 in 4K. But wait, you still got your 16:9, you still got your 17:9, but wait, you also have the option of shooting anamorphic squeeze. So if you wanted to pop on some anamorphic lenses onto these guys, which many companies are starting to produce cheaper anamorphic lenses that you can get out there, that's a great option for both of these cameras. Maybe you can go from a micro four thirds mount to a PL mount, and you can shoot some nice glass and anamorphic with these cameras. Added feature, okay? Anamorphic, 2:4:1, both kind of the same, but you're going to get a little bit wider in the squeeze with the anamorphic. And then if you just want that cinematic 2:4:1 look, you're able to do that on these cameras. Memory. What are memory formats? What are you shooting on? Are you shooting on SD card? Are you shooting CF card? Are you shooting SSD? You have the option of all three memory formats. You can shoot on SD card. You can shoot on CF card. You can shoot on SSD. I have rarely had a problem. Now the Blackmagic, I have a little bit of issues sometimes on the SD cards, but the 6K, I never have a problem shooting on SD, CF, or SSD, no matter if it's 3:1, 5:1, 8:1, 12:1. Even in high frame rates, HFR, high frame rates, 60 frames per second, 50 frames per second, I rarely have a problem out of the 6K. Sometimes my 4K lets me down. Sometimes I have error shooting on SD cards for some reason. I don't know if that's a camera or an issue with the SD cards, but I don't understand why I can put an SD card in this and have problems shooting 60 frames per second versus putting the same SD card in this guy, reformatting it, and then shooting 60 frames per second. Okay, now option 3, I think, is the advantage of having some kind of external monitor through HDMI. Option 4 is the audio. The audio, 3.5 millimeter input jack or mini XLR input supplying phantom power. This is a great option for different types of audio. Maybe you want to run your lavaliers through your 3.5 millimeter jack, and then you want to run a shotgun off a boom pole or something else like that, and you're going to run that through your phantom power 3-pin mini XLR input and supply phantom power to your NTG2s, I believe, and your NTG4s, which are up here, your Sennheiser 416, whatever microphone that you need that has phantom power, you have the option to do that. That's an option you're never going to get off a Sony DSLR A6600 or a Sony A7RS fucking 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever it is. You're never going to get those options off those mirrorless cameras. You're only going to get that from the Blackmagic company, and that's why I buy Blackmagic cameras. They're just a little bit of a step above everybody else. So yes, there are issues, there are problems, there are people complaining about them all the time, but I don't really care because this is a great camera, and now you can buy one completely used for a fraction of the price because they just released the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K, and take advantage. One last thing I want to talk about is the gyro. So now you have gyro stabilization that has already been on these Blackmagic cameras from day one. They just put it into effect with the 7.9 firmware upgrade and the new DaVinci Resolve. I believe that's DaVinci Resolve 18. I will have to see because this is all new. This is breaking news. It's happening now. They're making great new firmware for these cameras. So now you can take this guy off this shoulder rig that I have mounted up like crazy, which is going to have a lot of handheld look and a lot of shake. But now I can use this guy and stabilize it, or I can put it in my hand and stabilize it much better straight in through DaVinci Resolve. We'll see how that turns out. I will take some new footage and some new handheld shots with this, and we'll test it out with this new footage coming up next week. So now's the time to buy, and not buy a new Blackmagic cinema camera, but to buy a used one that some poor fool is going to sell to you for half the price that he bought, and get that new G2 for $2,000, and you're going to get a great camera for $1,500. This has been another tip from Core Creative Media. Remember, don't be a sucker. Go out there and buy some used gear and get some good use out of it before you go purchase brand new stuff just because it's brand new. And always keep shooting, keep loving what you do, and we'll see you in the next video.